Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. So as the title says, today we're going to be taking a look at my personal top 10 least favorite Ever After High dolls. I did a video at some point late last year where I did my top 10 favorite Ever After High dolls, and now we're kind of doing the companion video, like the opposite video of that, and taking a look on like the darker side of the Ever After High dolls that I think flopped the worst. The key thing here is this is just my opinion, as with all of my videos. If you disagree, it's totally chill. I would definitely love to hear what your thoughts are on all of these dolls in the comments down below, and also if you think there's like other ones that are worse that I should have included on the list, but this is just going to be my personal list. So that is what we're going to be going over today. If you guys find yourself having fun, if you could give the video a like, that's very helpful to me. If you're new here and you enjoy your time, definitely subscribe so you can see more videos like this. And then if you want to go out of your way to support me, I do have my PO box and a bunch of links and stuff in the description. Without further ado, let's start looking at some questionable dolls. Editing me here. My audio issues are persisting. So the microphone that I have is like the wireless microphone that I clip on, and then the receiver goes into my phone, and like that's where I record the audio. And again, with this video, the intro, not terrible, could have been worse, but the audio does include it does improve drastically once I pick my phone up, and then it goes back down at the conclusion of the video. I am working on this. I'm trying to figure it out. I thought at first it just like wasn't plugged in all the way, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Maybe it's a distance thing. I don't know. I just wanted to say I'm aware of it. I am working on trying to figure out how to make it more consistent, and I am very apologetic because like I know that that might be distracting for you guys. So I am sorry. I hope you can still enjoy. We're working on it. I promise there will be a solution at some point. Okay, so before I get into like the actual top 10, we're going to be going like 10 to 1. Like obviously we're going to end on the absolute worst one, but I actually have first off a hot take and then some honorable mentions. So my hot take is that I don't do honorable mentions in any of like my ranking videos or like top 10 videos, anything like that, because personally, like if you do honorable mentions, that's fine. I'm not here to judge you, but for me personally, a top 10 list with 5 honorable mentions is just a top 15 list, except 5 of them aren't in order. Like I think that having honorable mentions in general kind of just extends the list. Like it's not truly a top 10 list at that point, but that's just my hot take. However, I am making an exception to that rule because I wanted to give like the honorable mentions or like dishonorable mentions this time to all of the dolls that I thought were so bad that they couldn't justifiably be included on this list. So I'm talking about the dolls that are like molded on top, fabric skirt, molded on leggings, like that sort of situation. I did my top 10 favorite and then my top 10 least favorite Monster High dolls from Gen 1. And I specifically did Gen 1 only because I didn't want to do Gen 2 because I felt like I couldn't just include a lot of the really, really bad budget dolls that we got with that. And so with Ever After High, I want to acknowledge that those dolls were bad, but I don't want to include them in my list proper because at that point, most of the list would just be dolls that are like, just, you know, a fabric skirt and that's it. Like they're barely dolls. And I feel like that's a very boring list. So just to get those out of the way really quick, first off, we have the ballet line. The example I'll have on screen is the ballet Briar. This is the epitome of it's molded on top, molded on leggings, going into molded on shoes with just a fabric skirt. Like obviously this is not super. It's a very budget doll. And beyond that, like you can do a budget doll that is like low budget, but also still okay quality. This is just not that. And so like, obviously the entire ballet line would be taking up the top 10 list if I included them. Also a mention here for the hairstyle Holly doll. She has the molded on top. I think her shoes are removable and she did have the hair play gimmick. So like, she's not the worst offender here, but I just still feel like she kind of falls into that category of like, this was when the budget was declining so badly that most of the dolls were just not super. And so I didn't feel like it was fair to include her. And then 2 more here. The just budget release like of the core characters. I'm sure that had a line, but I can't think of what that like line was called at this moment. But I have the budget Ashlyn as the example here. Again, this is just like the molded on top, the really cheap like tacky skirt, just not looking good. These were like the re-releases of core characters once Ever High started producing these like lower quality dolls. So yeah, not super there. And then the last one, the last line is the Tea Party line. I have Raven up here as the example for you guys. Same thing as I've been saying with the rest of these. And so that's why like I wanted to call them out. I wanted to be like, yeah, these were bad dolls. And like objectively, these are the top 10 list, but I just didn't think that would be a very fun video if I just was like, hey, all of these molded on tops were really bad. That's it. Like that wouldn't be very fun. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, my dishonorable mentions, we can actually get into the top 10 list. Alrighty, so coming in at number 10 is the School Spirit Raven Queen doll. I just don't love this as a concept. Like, I understand that Ever After High is technically a high school, like it's in the name. So like I understand the school spirit lineup, but it just irks me. Like, I like the fantasy element of these characters a lot more than I like the high school element of these characters. So for me, this line just like was not destined to be in the first place. I especially didn't like Raven, and that's why she's included on the list, because I feel like I don't know the characters. Okay. I still haven't seen the show. I'm going to get there at some point. I still haven't seen the show. So I don't actually know these characters, but she's supposed to be like the edgy one. Like, looking at her good dolls, she's supposed to be the one that's like dark and like deep and thematic and like all of these things that I just don't think a school spirit line is. She's not higher up on the list because I do think that the clothing pieces still look pretty quality, but I just object to the idea of a character like Raven being in this sort of outfit to begin with. Like, I don't know. It's just not for me. We're going to have that crop up a few times here, not to spoil anything, but that's why she's at number 10. Then coming in at number 9, looking at him, I'm like, he should have been higher up, but I know we're going to get to worse ones. I just really don't like this doll. This is Date Night Dexter Charming, and it's so bad to me. I hate the way that his hair is in the stock photo. Like, I'm sure you could fix it up and like make it look better, but it just looks so ludicrous the way that it's cut in this photo. And what I hate more is that this is the date night Dexter, and instead of dressing him up and making him look nice, maybe a little bit more princely or whatever, this man is straight up just wearing shorts with a blazer, and it's so awful to me. Like, is it very high school date? Maybe, but is it what I want to see on a doll? No, I think this one is genuinely like laughable in how bad it is. So maybe that's why he didn't go quite as high up, because it's funny to me, but I think this is absolutely terrible. Then coming in at number 8, we have the Mirror Beach Ashlyn Ella doll. I have talked about these dolls a few times on this channel, and I just don't think that the Mirror Beach dolls were super to begin with. I don't like the way that the skirts were done. I just don't think that they look that great, but I think that hers is the most egregious. Like, this just random little tutu, the thickness of the band, where it sits on the doll, I just don't think any of it is very good. And even as someone who loves me a good ball gown dress, like, don't get me wrong, I love a good poofy princess dress. I don't think that that had to carry over into the swim line. I think there are other ways that like the royalty could have been conveyed without it being a literal tutu. I just think that that was a questionable design choice. And so Ashlyn is my personal least favorite out of these, which is why she's at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is the Archery Club Bunny Blanc. I was questioning whether I should include the Archery Club dolls as like dishonorable mentions, because they do have the molded on legs, but they also have like a full dress and other pieces, and like they still have a lot of articulation. So I didn't think that they were quite dishonorable mentions. I thought that they were like justified, or at least this one I should say is justified in being on the list proper. I just don't love this. I think that even though there is still some good, like it's not all the way towards the deep end here, there is definitely a lack of like attention to detail. The dress I don't think is printed on both sides. The molded on leggings is very, very irksome to me. And in general, I just don't think that this is a super appealing design. Like, nothing about it is something that I enjoy, aside from the fact that it's an archery club line, because I used to love archery. And so I think that's like why she gets to be bumped up, is because I'm personally offended that a line that has such a cool concept as an archery club looks this bad. And Bunny Blanc is my personal least favorite from the line. So that's why she's at number 7. We're definitely getting rougher as we go along. And like, I know that's the point of this video, but it does hurt to look at some of these. Number 6 is the Epic Winter Rosabella Beauty doll. Another one where like the entire line I wasn't the biggest fan of, although I do think there are some that look a lot better than Rosabella here. I just think this is not it. I don't like the parts that are molded on. I don't like the like aggressiveness of the colors that they chose. I also am pretty sure that these dresses for this line were not printed on the back. It just feels like an affront. Like, I'm looking at her and my eyes kind of hurt. And I normally don't have that reaction, even to very brightly like over-designed dolls. Like, I can like that. I don't like this one though. Coming in at number 5 is the Back to School Darling. This is rough. I feel like she had some cool dolls earlier in Ever After High's run. I think it's her core doll that I'm thinking of. Maybe. No, it's her Dragon Games doll that I really, really like, except for the leggings. But I think that doll is so cool. I think that like the strength that is conveyed with the armor that she usually has on is so refreshing and so fun. And then we get this. And like she's supposed to be a high schooler, but she looks like a PTA mom. And like that's chill. Like if you're a PTA mom, that's fine. It's not what this doll is designed to look like. You know what I'm saying? Like she looks like she has an aggressive tan. I don't like the dress. I feel like we lost the harder parts of her. Like there is no element of that armor. Like there's no element that shows off what I was getting of her personality from her other dolls. And I just hate to see how far she fell from like the heights that I feel like she reached, because I do think some of her dolls are really fun. This is obviously not one of them, and I feel ashamed for her, you know? Okay, this one's quite bad. Number 4 is the 2-in-1 Ashlyn Ella doll with like a transforming dress gimmick. Again, one that like teetered on the edge of being counted as a dishonorable mention, but there's enough happening here that is like actual fabric that I decided to include her. Also, I just think it's like really terrible because with a lot of the other ones that are like molded on and there's not a lot of detail, not a lot of articulation or fabric, whatever, you can tell that they weren't trying. But like with this, it just the pattern and like the amount of fabric almost feels like a slap in the face, because you're going to give me this icky molded on top with like another piece of plastic that you can snap on top of it to give a different look. And then the dress, like the bottom part, I would have rather that they didn't try, you know, like at least with those dolls, I'm like, okay, it's supposed to be a super, super budget doll. Like it's whatever. It is what it is. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But this one feels like they were trying to put an effort and they just didn't have the budget for it. And somehow that is sadder to me. I just hate everything about how this looks. And again, I have liked a lot of Ashlyn's dolls. I think that she has some really, really cool dolls, but this is egregious and I hate it. Breaking into the top 3, we have another Raven, and this is I wrote it down, Enchanted Picnic Raven. Sorry, I couldn't even read my own handwriting. This one bothers me. Okay, going back to what I said about number 10, I don't think Raven would wear this. Like the idea of Raven in a gingham print dress with frills and like tulle at the waist and this poofy skirt, I can't see it. I don't get it. Like maybe I'm just completely off base because I haven't seen the show. Maybe I'm upset over nothing, but I have seen her splendid dolls, like especially some of the more like collector aim dolls, some of the higher quality dolls. She looks so regal and frightening and edgy and dark. And this is not that, like not even close to that. I feel like she is deeply uncomfortable in this. I think, was it a ranking video that I did, or I can't remember what it was. There was another video where I talked about her, and I think the way that I summed her up was that she looks like a goth child who is being forced by her family to wear something nice for Easter Sunday. And this is like the compromise, is that it gets to be purple and black, but other than that, it's very clearly an Easter dress. And I stand by that. That is 100% what this doll is giving. It doesn't feel cohesive. It doesn't feel like it's designed with the character in mind, and I hate it. I forgot this one was coming up. I got to keep it together. Number 2, this honestly could have been any of the dolls from this line, but I picked Briar because she's probably my least favorite, although none of them are good. And that is the budget version of the Throne Coming line. And here's my issue. First of all, it is the doll. It is how this thing looks, because like, that's not it for me. It's not working for me on any level. But the actual Throne Coming line is so stunning. It's one of the most elaborate, beautiful lines that Ever After High ever produced. All of the like dresses in the original Throne Coming line are absolutely stunning. Even if they're not my personal cup of tea, I can look at it and be like, that's a beautiful design. And then they had the audacity to release these budget ones that are just a million leagues below that and call it the same name. And I'm like, you couldn't have picked any other name. Like, I still would have this doll on the list, even without that, because it's a bad doll. Like, to me, maybe y'all like it. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean or like get heated here. But I still would have her on the list, but the reason she's so high on the list is because to me it is a personal offense that this doll would share the Throne Coming title with such amazing dolls as like the Throne Coming Applewhite, who I desperately want to have. I just like, I'm actually filled with blood boiling rage that they couldn't just come up with a different name or like anything. There's no reason that this should be considered a Throne Coming doll. I think that it is a slap in the face to the actually good Throne Coming dolls, and I will be mad about it forever. And yet, the number one doll on this list today, I'm somehow more mad about, which is wild because I feel very passionately about the budget Throne Coming dolls, as I'm sure you can tell. But number one is the Sweet Treat Raven doll. Everything that I said previously about the other two Raven dolls on this list, especially the picnic one, about how this does not fit her aesthetic, definitely applies here, except multiplied so much further because at least the picnic one was like in her colors. At least there was some black in that design. What is this? Like, hello? This doesn't look like Raven at all. It looks like someone dressed a Raven doll in another character's clothes. I'm speechless, but so mad at the same time. And genuinely, I think I said this before too, but this doll to me looks like what I imagine someone's cool grandmother would look like. And that's not an insult to cool grandmothers out there, because I feel like if I had a grandma who had purple hair and dressed in like funky little outfits like this, that would be a vibe. Like, I'm sure that if you are a grandparent or just an older person, or if you have a grandparent around you who looks kind of like this or gives off the same vibe, I'm sure that they are lovely people. But this is not high schooler Raven Queen. Like, this is not that. It's just so bad. I think that the short hair in this particular style doesn't fit the vibe that she is meant to have. Like, I feel like a more angular cut in a shorter style would be more Raven. Everything about the outfit is wrong. It's too bright. It's got cupcakes all over it. The frills. This is just not right. Like, this isn't... How did we let them get away with this? This one really bothers me. I don't know why I take this so personally, but like, I do, and I am extremely upset by the fact that this doll exists, so obviously she was going to be number one. But yes, that is all of my top 10 least favorite ever after high dolls. I feel like every time I do one of these least favorite videos, by the time I get to the end, I'm like a little bit mad, a little bit heated about it, because like my top 10 favorites videos, it's just happy energy, right? But like the negative ones, it's just me being upset that these designs are things that were produced. So I apologize for the energy here at the end, but that is all I have for you guys today. As I said earlier, I would definitely love to hear your thoughts on all of the dolls that I mentioned, and if you think that there are definitely worse ones that I didn't include, I'd love to know like which ones those are and why you feel that way. I'm very curious to hear what your opinions are, but you've definitely heard enough of mine, so I hope you're able to enjoy that. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.